one of the few Hollywood celebrities whose career has withstood decades of changing fashions, personal tragedy, and intense public examination without losing the trust of the public is Sandra Bullock. She has long been regarded as personable and strong due to her warmth, comedic timing, and emotional range. Beneath that well-known grin, however, is a life molded by betrayal, rejection, quiet concern, and a never-ending struggle to preserve dignity in a field that seldom permits women to age without repercussions. Sandra Bullock was first introduced to performance at a young age. She was born in Arlington County, Virginia on July 26, 1964. Bullock spent a large portion of her early years in both Germany and the United States because her father was a voice coach and her mother was a German opera singer. When she was younger, she even made appearances in local opera performances. She did not have a strong sense of belonging as a child despite this experience. She became perceptive but reserved because of her cross-cultural travels, and acting never seemed like a certain destiny. Bullock returned to the United States and studied acting at East Carolina University. With aspirations but no security, she relocated to New York City after graduating. She took acting classes, worked as a waitress, and frequently went to auditions. Rejection started to happen frequently. Casting directors frequently informed her that she was lovely but not startling enough, and likable but not memorable enough. There were times when she genuinely wondered whether she was pursuing an illusion, and emotional tiredness and financial insecurity were her regular companions. That uncertainty was evident in her early film work. Low-budget films and little television parts came and went with little effect. She stayed on the periphery of the industry for years, mostly unnoticed while others made progress. She was frequently undervalued for her gentleness and humor, and Hollywood did not view her as a leading lady right away. With Speed in 1994, everything changed. When Bullock was paired with Keanu Reeves, her innate charm and realistic performance instantly made her a worldwide celebrity. She was thrust into a level of popularity she had never anticipated due to the film's success. Suddenly, she was all over the red carpet, magazine covers, and interviews. Bullock later said that the abrupt loss of anonymity was disturbing rather than empowering, despite the public's adoration of her. The years that followed were characterized by unrelenting labor. Her reputation as America's sweetheart was solidified by films like Miss Congeniality, While You Were Sleeping, and Practical Magic. She was omnipresent, adored, and bankable. However, her discipline and versatility were often overlooked by critics who classified her as a romantic comedy actor. She was discreetly irritated by that dismissive. Behind the scenes, she started advocating for parts that put her image to the test, even if they were riskier. In 2009, her determination paid off with The Blind Side. She ultimately gained recognition as one of Hollywood's most esteemed actors after receiving an Academy Award for the performance. But that success on the job came at a terrible cost in terms of personal destruction. The world burst with news of her husband Jesse James's numerous infidelities just weeks after she won an Oscar. The betrayal occurred in public, depriving her of privacy when she was most noticeable. Bullock withdrew entirely. Her public performances were cancelled and she vanished from sight. She was later reported by friends as being profoundly shaken by both the treachery and the humiliation of learning about it in front of the world. Relationship trust as well as industry trust broke down. Since then, she has recounted that time as one of deep sadness and confusion when achievement seemed pointless. Bullock made a choice that would change her life during that period of withdrawal. Louis, her son, and Lila, her daughter, were adopted by her. When everything else felt precarious, motherhood served as an anchor, providing direction and emotional stability. She claims that having a child completely changed her objectives, moving her emphasis from outside approval to emotional security and accountability. Her comeback to acting was planned and restrained. Gravity was a pivotal moment that demonstrated her mental control and physical stamina. Both reviewers and viewers were reminded of her depth by the film's success, which demonstrated that she could almost totally carry a film on her own. However, Bullock continued to be wary about overexposure even as her career picked up steam. Industry insiders have long observed that Bullock has a complicated connection with Hollywood underneath her calm facade. She apparently became much more reserved after her public divorce, obtaining more creative control and steering clear of projects that reduced women to superficial roles. There has been quite industry gossip suggesting that her refusal to aggressively maintain a youthful image through cosmetic procedures cost her certain opportunities, with roles instead going to younger actresses considered more marketable. Sandra Bullock has also, however, infrequently discussed her fear of public and press criticism. Her co-workers frequently characterize her as friendly and funny in private but extremely uncomfortable with too much attention. It never felt natural for her to be famous. Her long-standing avoidance of social media and her few interviews, which encouraged speculation and interest rather than clarity, can be explained by her uneasiness. Tabloid coverage of her personal life persisted, especially following her divorce. Rumors that she was involved with several prominent men were common, and she hardly responded to them. Friends have speculated that she prioritized emotional stability over romantic headlines and that trust concerns made long term relationships challenging. Later, she maintained a very intimate connection with photographer Brian Randall. When he fell ill, Bullock discreetly stopped acting to take care of him. His passing represented yet another profound sorrow that was experienced in private. Bullock also had to deal with the hidden strain of relevancy in her professional life. She was not exempt from Hollywood's well-known unease with aging actresses. There were times when she appeared to vanish, raising questions about retirement or deterioration. She was recalibrating, making thoughtful project selection, and placing a higher priority on life outside of continuous performance. Bullock's advocacy behind the scenes has also been quietly respected. She allegedly used her power to stop inappropriate behavior on several productions, protecting younger actors from exploitation. Her reputation as someone who recognized the darker truths of the profession and refused to ignore them was enhanced by these acts, which were rarely made public. Her most frequently cited statements prioritize resiliency over glitz. She has discussed vulnerability as a form of strength, how life rarely follows a script, and how failure is a better teacher than achievement. These quotes strike a chord because they are lessons learned by experience rather than aspirational catchphrases. Persistence, not perfection, is what makes her narrative so captivating. She stumbled in public, recovered in private, and came back without expecting praise. Her refusal to lose herself along the road may be her greatest accomplishment in a field that is fixated with reinvention. Sandra Bullock's life serves as a reminder that integrity can triumph over scandal and silence, but fame does not provide protection from suffering. Silently, purposefully, and according to her own terms, her story goes on. Bullock's impact on the creation and promotion of female-led films is also being discussed more. As a producer and actor, she subtly contributed to the normalization of the notion that women could oversee significant studio productions without being exclusively associated with youth or romance. Even if she refrained from accepting public recognition for it, her work behind the camera demonstrated a greater comprehension of the power of storytelling. Industry analysts have observed that Bullock's subsequent career decisions seem to have been influenced more by emotional alignment than by business strategy. She has rejected franchise commitments, rejected sequels, and resisted the urge to be visible all the time. This departure is more about reclaiming authorship over her life than it is about retreating after years of carrying box office expectations. Additionally, there is a feeling that Bullock's legacy will be determined by trust rather than just honors or statistics. Audiences appreciated her silence amid personal anguish, supported her during public humiliation, and trusted her during her ascent. In today's celebrity culture where overexposure frequently results in erosion rather than loyalty, a relationship like that developed over decades is uncommon. Bullock embodies a different kind of achievement as she enters a more subdued stage, one that permits aging, sadness, parenthood, and privacy without feeling guilty. She has demonstrated that it is possible to move away without vanishing, to persevere without spectacle, and to maintain respect without always changing. The narrative of Sandra Bullock does not conclude with a spectacular return or well-planned farewell. Smaller, more subdued decisions that put wholeness ahead of headlines continue this trend. The choice to live outside the frame even after spending a lifetime inside it is arguably the most radical aspect of her journey.